Few figures generate such divided passions. In this video, you'll learn the story of Marcelo Bielsa, the madman who divides 5 nations. Bielsa recently said in a press conference in Uruguay, "Throughout my entire career, I was always valued by the players. In this period is when I've received the most mistreatment." These are not the words of an ordinary coach. They were spoken during a tense press conference in Uruguay, a country where criticism has been fierce after a painful elimination. But if you travel 1,300 kilometers west, to Chile, his name is spoken with reverence. There, he is the hero who changed the mentality of an entire country. How can the same person inspire almost divine love and such visceral rejection? They call him El Loco, and perhaps the real madness is how 5 countries across 2 continents see him in such opposite ways. This is the story of a man who leaves an unforgettable mark, sometimes as a spark and other times as a deep, painful scar. The most recent breaking point has been Uruguay. After a tough elimination in the 2026 World Cup, Bielsa faced the media, admitting he felt mistreated. The reaction from the press was relentless. Influential outlets like Ovación showed no mercy, with headlines like "Millions in the Trash," pointing to his high salary amid a crisis of results. Local media and former players like Diego Lugano speak of a fracture, a disconnect between the coach and the players, criticizing his tactics and incomprehensible substitutions. For part of the fans and the media, Bielsa went from being the great hope to a questioned coach whose methods clashed with Uruguay's football culture. The feeling many are left with is not of a broken cycle, but of a project that never fully connected. In other words, a resounding failure. To understand the mystery of Bielsa, we have to travel to a country where he is practically an idol: Chile. When he arrived in 2007, he took over a national team coming off repeated failures and recurring acts of indiscipline. A team where the press talked more about parties and serious excesses than about victories. Bielsa, with his obsession and his method, not only qualified them for a World Cup after 2 consecutive absences, he changed their soul. In Chile, he is not remembered for a trophy. He is idolized for the transformation. He is considered the father of the golden generation, the group that shortly after delivered the 2 greatest triumphs in Chile's football history. Bielsa was the architect who laid the foundations for the team that later won the 2015 Copa America at Chile's national stadium, and the second one a year later in the United States, the Copa America Centenario, played only once every 100 years. Both finals were against Argentina, with Lionel Messi on the field. These undeniable triumphs over the current world champions and Chile's eternal rivals only increase the enormous admiration Chileans have for Bielsa. While Uruguay debates his salary, in Chile his name is synonymous with pride and revolution. He is the hero who, according to many, restored their faith, even though his departure was marked by conflicts with the new federation leadership. Bielsa's lack of trust in the new administration led to his resignation from the Chilean national team. Those same leaders would later become protected FBI witnesses in the United States and end up involved in the biggest corruption scandal in FIFA history. Time and events ultimately proved Bielsa right in his criticism of Chilean football management under Sergio Jadue, which precipitated his exit. Bielsa's legacy is rarely simple. In England, for example, he is a cult hero among Leeds United fans. He took a historic club stuck in the 2nd division and returned it to the long-awaited Premier League, becoming an icon. However, his arrival sparked a cultural clash. The famous Spygate, in which he admitted to spying on the training sessions of all his rivals, triggered a national debate. Although he insisted it wasn't illegal, he ended up paying a £200,000 fine out of his own pocket, showing how his methods collided with English football tradition. Further north, in Mexico, the perception is one of deep respect forged in the 1990s with clubs like Atlas and America. There, in certain circles, he is seen as a maestro for his work ethic. Recently, after Uruguay's big win over Mexico, part of the Mexican press praised Uruguay's tactical lesson, though it also fueled criticism of their own national team. Curiously, the place where his figure is most complex is his own home. In Argentina, Marcelo Bielsa is not an undisputed idol like others. He is the center of a debate that never ends. On one hand, he led a national team that shined in qualifiers and, above all, won Argentina's first Olympic gold medal in football at Athens 2004. But on the other hand, Bielsa carries the weight of major failures, especially in World Cups. His legacy divides. While many players revere him, others have questioned his real influence on Argentine football. For Argentines, Bielsa is neither God nor pariah. He is an open question, a constant reminder that in football, for many, the journey sometimes matters as much as the destination. So why does Bielsa divide so much? His method is the answer. Bielsa doesn't manage, he revolutionizes. His all-or-nothing philosophy demands total commitment, which can forge heroes or generate absolute rejection. It works perfectly where a complete rebuild is needed, like in Chile or Leeds United, but can clash with already established football cultures. He is a man who lives at the extremes, incapable of generating indifference. A coach who, for better or worse, changes you forever. Now it's your turn. Which version of Bielsa do you choose? The hero who transforms, or the madman who creates chaos? I'm Juan Goñi, and on this channel I want to hear your opinion. I want to know what you think. Join the conversation. I'll be reading your comments. I know your point of view, like that of the rest of this community, will spark a very interesting discussion. And if you enjoy stories that go beyond the final score, subscribe so you don't miss the next analysis.